This just in from the president. We're extending the ceasefire. According to the U.S. president, this is what he had to say just a few minutes ago on Truth Social. Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of the Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as a proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. No specific end date, no clue how long this ceasefire has been extended. I'm here to tell you why just simply doing a naval blockade, maybe even just bombing the crap out of Iran, will not work. There's my theory. This is my thesis. This is why I think that Iran is willing to wait this out. These are my main 2 points. The naval blockade depends on two main factors. Number one, China's willingness to engage in this conflict, whether geopolitically, damn near, directly, that will probably never happen, in their patience. So that's number one, their willingness to engage in this conflict, in China's patience, i.e. waiting on that goddamn oil. And number two, the fact in the willingness of the length of this blockade, and as we get closer to the 2026 midterm elections, the longer the blockade goes, China's willingness, those are going to be the key factors on whether or not the blockade is going to be effective. Did you hear me say anything about how, crippled Iran is economically? No, you didn't hear me say that, because Iran has a lot of different avenues for trade in their country. They are not a landlocked country. You may notice that they have a lot of different corridors to get things to their citizens as they see them. To the west, they have Iraq. They have a major border crossing there, which is damn near an open border for trade. They don't get basically anything from Afghanistan, but they do get a lot of cattle. There's still a lot of cattle that comes from Afghanistan. Pakistan, they have a new major corridor and crossing there that Pakistan recently has eased trade restrictions on Iran because of the blockade. Turkmenistan, they are trying to increasingly increase trade there because Turkmenistan wants to connect themselves to Turkey and to other parts of Europe, and they know they have to go through Iran to make that happen. And then they have the Caspian Sea, and that can take them north to Russia, where they get a lot of different items as well. So listen, we know 90% of their oil exports happen down south. They happen in the Persian Gulf. We know that this area right here is where the blockade is at, but that's 90% of their oil export, but only about 10 to 25% of their GDP. What do I think that means? That means that they have a lot of alternative routes, and these alternative routes offer some tactile flexibility. What it really means to me is that this is fragile enough for the balance of Iran to survive, but our blockade is just going to keep them from having prosperity. So let's imagine that your country needs X, Y, and Z amount of imports to survive. You need this so much medicines brought in, and this many animals brought in, or this many processed food or oil, whatever you need to be brought in for the citizens of your country to survive. So in my opinion, the blockade is not diminishing that enough to where the people in Iran are ready to overthrow or go after their government or whatever. What the blockade is doing is keeping the country from prosperity, from them excelling, from them having a surplus of money, assets, etc. Deals that they're making with countries like China and India to electrify some of their railroads, or to ensure that they have connectivity all the way from Russia throughout, all the way connected through India, the sea, through trains, through 18-wheelers, stuff like that. They have all sorts of deals that they could make if they had that additional money. But can they simply survive? Yes, they can simply survive as it stands right now. So Is this something that's going to be very viable? I mean, one of the major crossings is right here, Mehran. This is a major crossing with Iraq, and this crossing is still operating to this day. Whereas we're able to see this crossing here is where they get a lot of pharmaceuticals. This is where they're still getting trade for things that they need for food wise. So this is a crossing that they're still operational in Iraq. Those trucks are still going by every single day. And then we have to think about the north. This is a body of water that we absolutely cannot get our vessels into, the Caspian Sea, which is basically a big ass lake for Iran. And it's surrounded by a bunch of countries of which are actively doing trade with Iran. In 2024, 2025, they increased the amount of imports that they had through this major port here of Bandar Anzali by billions of dollars. They're getting so many supplies from Russia just north, as they both have access to the Caspian Sea. Georgia has access to the Black Sea. And then they're getting stuff from all over the place from this port as well. So if they're getting from the shadow fleet, they're getting different supplies here, almost completely unfettered, just completely not able to be stopped by any of our assets. This is another way that they're able to survive as well, just keeping this stuff alive. So the naval blockade may be doing its good job of keeping them from a lot of their exports. But even while we're allowing Pakistan to be the middle guy, I guess, how much of that is something that we 100% have eyes on, the close relationship that Iran and Pakistan have, meaning that there's a major border crossing that is incredibly important to Turkmenistan, and it's up here up north, right near Afghanistan, and it's called the Sarakim's border. This border is a major railroad, and this railroad is hopes that this will be built out enough to eventually connect it to Turkey. But this railroad is still where they get a lot of imports here as well. I mean, you can clearly see the railroad here on the map, where they're still getting, this is still operational, although it was hit in April. They've already started making repairs to different parts of their railroads throughout the country. And this is one of them where they're still getting imports as well. Pakistan has eased their trade requirements from Pakistan with Iran and allowing some people to do direct trade with them. So this is what the goal is the Indian, Iran, Russia, Europe connection. This is the north-south corridor that Iran is trying to make themselves so that they're connected with all of Europe, all of Asia, and eventually India as well. And if you take a look at this, you can see that as you zoom in, they do have India on the southeast that's connected through their ports. So that's the naval blockade. They can't directly get to India right now. But a lot of these other routes are not affected right now. I mean, to the northeast, they have Turkmenistan still able to be accessed. To the northwest, they have Turkey still can be accessed, which gets them connections to the rest of Europe. To their direct west, they have Iraq. And then to their north through the Caspian Sea, they have Russia. We are not stopping everything. So if we extend this naval blockade in the hopes that we're able to bring them to their knees, I don't think that's going to work. I don't know, even if we were to begin to bomb again, how much we're going to be able to slow down and stop and bring the Ayatollah to their knees to the point where they're ready to negotiate on our terms, because they see they have leverage. If they just literally attack any random ship in the Strait of Hormuz, they effectively close the Strait of Hormuz. They're still getting their trade. And unless we go total war against Iran, they know for the most part, as long as those trade routes are not for both military and civilian purposes, they're not really being hit. And even if they are for military and civilian purposes, we still have not hit them fully, we being Israel and the United States. So for the blockade to work, you have to be able to starve the target. But how do you starve a country that shares borders with a half a dozen nations, either friendly or simply too dependent on that trade to stop? They literally just signed a deal with China to electrify thousands of miles of their railroads. Now, it's not happening right now because of the war, but trucks are still moving along the east. Ships are still sailing in the north. And I'm not seeing how us simply declaring and extending a ceasefire is going to be enough to make this completely shut down. So as I look at this statement, what this really leads me to believe is that we're looking for a way out of this. And what I read from this statement is that Pakistan asked us to extend this, and we're using the reasoning of the civilian and military leadership in Iran is just so discombobulated that they need more time to come up with a proposal. It makes no sense to me on a surface level. I think it was just a reason to extend the ceasefire before it expired at midnight tonight to ease the markets and to give them a sense of calm, because prices of West Texas crude went up almost over $100 a barrel today. For Brent crude oil prices went up over $100 a barrel today, and then it dropped back down below. And if we don't have both parties speaking on the extension of a ceasefire, how effective is this to bring the other party to the table? Iran has clearly said they will not come to the negotiation table while a blockade still exists. I just told you why I think they can survive the blockade as it stands right now, because although they won't have prosperity, they will survive. But what do I know? Because maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe Iran is going to come on bended knee very soon to negotiate some shit. I personally don't want to continue to spend $2 billion a day overseas on a conflict, which I feel for the most part can be pulled out of and just take the L immediately, as well as there's so many other things that's costing me bread. I mean, we're refunding tariffs to the tune of $166 billion plus interest to anybody who paid those tariffs. I paid a tariff for some products that I use for my website. I'm not even going to apply to get a refund because I paid such a small amount. You know, actually, how much did I pay? I probably paid a little bit less than $200. So maybe I will apply for that because that's like $200. I can use that $200. All right. But my point being is I paid for tariffs. Other companies that do business pay for them as well. Not you can apply and get that taxpayer dollars back, but they also get the interest. So not only that, so many things is costing us money when I'm thinking about, should I actively go after a refund for some stuff that can help my family out, as well as repairs I need to make on vehicles and trying to plan vacations, and can we even afford it? And all I see is just running up the numbers overseas. And I'm not quite sure if I even know why the hell we're over there doing it, because all this shit was basically A-okay with me back in February. But hey, first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.